Hey, everybody.
Hey everybody, welcome to TFT Tarot for today, Divine Dabblings with
Oberon.
and me, Banshee, and it's Halloween week. Happy Halloween and Samhain to everybody who celebrates.
And of course, it's also your
weird week. Sorry.
I guess there's a bit of fatigue here for us. It's a busy weekend, but also the fatigue of maybe what we're about to talk about as we do recap. And briefly, if you're new here, your weird week is kind of like where we hope politics, world issues, concerns, and tarot maybe intersect. And we're here to do that.
We're here to try to do that. Let's put it that way. And we're here today to recap what happened in last week's Weird Week, and see how our cards may have addressed some of the situations and scenarios that have happened.
Right. We always try to look at the things going on that seem to be the most dynamic, that draws our attention, and whether or not those cards fall into the patterns that we have set for them.
And there were a lot of things that happened in last week. A number of them not that happy. One in particular, of course, was the mass shooting in Maine, and what transpired with all of that. On a positive end, some of the strikes with the UAW are coming to an end. They've settled with Stellantis and they have settled on a deal with Ford, but it all has to be voted on yet. And, the strike is expanding with GM right now. The pressure's on for GM to come up with a competitive offer so that they can settle there. And finally, there's something else. There was also the speakership in the House of Representatives,
right.
Where they finally did pick a speaker that is probably even more far right in some ways than Jim Jordan was, and but may not all necessarily be completely in Trump's court either. Kind of an enigma, but a very, very religious-oriented person who allows their religion to dictate what they want as policy.
Well, it seems like all of these cards from last week, maybe some of them fit here or there, but none of them fit as conclusively as we feel the ongoing situation with Israel and Gaza did. So we're going to review the cards, and of course, card 1 is the major focus or theme of the reading, and so what we pulled for that was the Magician reversed.
Yeah, the Magician reversed is about trickery, sleight of hand, possibly some unethical behavior.
Misuse of good powers.
Yes, thank you. And what did you say before? I think we were talking about this. Was it misuse of power? Misuse of will. I think you specified will. And, when you look at the whole situation, clearly both sides are culpable of that.
Absolutely. We're not trying to say one is more guilty than the other. This is clearly about bad decisions that either side have been making, and how that corrosive use of the will rather than a better use of the will is just really creating a bad situation that is ongoing.
We can talk about, this unethical behavior on the Hamas side by holding literally the Gazans hostage in their own way, by putting them in this line of fire, putting them in this difficult position with somebody who has so much power and might as Israel. And we can look at it from the other perspective. Right? Israel holding so much power and might and really pummeling this helpless population, killing a lot of innocent men, women, and children who had nothing to do with the terrorist attack, that happened in Israel. It's just a terrible tragedy unfolding, and I feel, and I think Mr. O would agree, that there are no true winners here at this point.
There's nothing engendering of any kind of faith or goodwill, and clearly, things that are considered crimes of war crimes by the UN or other agencies are being committed on both sides.
He's going to jump, sadly.
Oh,
Come here, Sonny. Huh, there.
please
All
don't
right,
touch
sorry,
it
our
too
cat
far.
is here. So let's move on to the second card, the Queen of Cups, and how this plays into it, card 2, which is what we will find out or see, the mysteries. And, clearly there's a lot of emotion here. Sonny, stay down. Our camera is just going to get totally blown if he jumps up here. Um, Clearly, there's a lot of emotion on both sides. There's a lot of sympathy for Israel and what they had gone through. And, rightfully so. Nobody deserves, that the people in the kibbutzes are not responsible totally for the policy of their Israeli government either. So, in regards to the Palestinians. So I do think that our innocence on both sides that we all feel for, the Gazans that are being hurt and the Israelis that were hurt.
There are hundreds of thousands of protesters for either side in various cities, and their impact is not really clear. It just seems like there's an outpouring of empathy, but without the ability to really make an impact on the leaders. A lot of people are pointing their fingers at Biden for everything he wants to do to help Israel, but the very little that he is doing to support Gaza in the overall situation. And it just sort of feels like certain people feel their hands are tied, or they really wish they didn't have to deal with this.
And generally when you think about it, the Queen of Cups is a very positive card upright, but all of this sympathy on either side is starting to get a little bit toxic. We're seeing a lot of divisions, a lot of people starting to get emotional and fighting with one another. The pro-Palestinian, the pro-Israeli sides. People are taking it out on college students in college who are leaning one way or another. And of course, there is also the reactions of violence, to Israelis in our country or in other countries, and to Muslims in other countries. So it's really kind of tricky, this card here, but I think it does say a lot.
Yeah, we should move on to card 3 then, which is about the other perspectives, and we had a little bit of difficulty with this one.
Not exactly. Maybe because we look at both sides of the card. And so I think we have maybe a difference of opinion in how the reverse side works here. This card showed up upright, the 9 of Swords upright, and I give a little bit more leaning towards the upright version than the reversed. But it is a tarot of oppositions.
Right. And so we are, given to look at the reverse meaning, or to possibly consider something that's more neutral, or to both in some sense of that. And it's hard, though, with a card like this.
Absolutely. Because really, other perspectives that need to be considered is all the fear and the anxiety in the world today being caused by this situation. Are these fears real or imagined? I think clearly, some of these fears are real. People are worried about this war extending larger, becoming bigger. People are worried about all the innocent lives that are being killed. People are very frightened. I'm just doing the upright right now. I'll cover the reverse today.
On the other side of the coin, of course, this card is generally about how people feel about releasing, that sense of fear or apprehension. And in my opinion, I feel like, there are people who want that perspective to be more thought about, because then they can more easily rationalize maybe what their solutions are in the whole situation, the treatment of either side by, the various powers that be.
So did you not want to say anything about the upright side? I thought we were going to do both.
Okay, well, I don't know that I can say anything vastly different from what you said.
Got it. Because that is pretty, I guess it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
On the reversal, if I had to look at it the other way, the 9 of Swords is about releasing those fears and anxieties, and also maybe maybe trying to just work around them, because there are many people right now who are trying to set aside all that and come up with workable solutions for that area. They want to see peace and they want to work through that, and it's not going to come from a place of fear. It's going to come from a place of hope. And so, I do believe there are people who are struggling to find a rational way through all of this, rather than letting our fears and anxieties separate us further.
Sure hope so, because it's pretty desperate.
Yeah. Card 4 is Judgment reversed, and so that is the overall impact. Well, the overall impact clearly is karma here. Karma is playing out on both sides. Israel has taken liberty upon liberty to keep taking more land all the time, and treating the Gaza Strip like, I don't know, like they are less than people, that they are less than their own state, which is what the Gazans have always wanted. They want their own state like Israel. And so I think karma has played its hand. Maybe the Jewish population, or I should say the Jewish government, was thinking that they have appeased the Palestinians in some way. They provide them with aid. They do this, they do that. But, it's not like these people are truly free. And it's sad. It's truly sad. And on the other hand of it, for the Gazans, well, you know what? You've let a terrorist organization run your government. You have not been able to fight back. You've not been able to control what's going on in your land. And this has come back to haunt you too. I feel for both sides here.
There have been a lot of restrictions that have been placed on Palestine even before Hamas did take power, but certainly since then. And, the more I read about the situation, the more I realize I don't know about it. But one thing that's interesting in terms of the Judgment Reverse card is perhaps the fact that for vastly long time, both Palestinians and the Jewish settlers, Israel, the nascent country to be, were being promised something that was to either side. In other words, the British and other controlling forces literally said, oh yeah, we're going to make this land yours. Oh yeah, we're going to make this land yours. And that is, in a very simplistic way, a big source of what the contention is that both sides believe they bought something and now they're in friction with each other. And so that sounds like a Judgment Reverse situation too.
So what could win the weird week or not? We had the 5 of Cups reversed, and to me, that is a more positive card, but looking at how it fits in with Gaza is a little bit tricky. I would say that, this could indicate that there has been some movement, not all of it good. There was some aid that was allowed to get through, let's just say that. On the other hand, there were a few hostages that had been released.
That's true.
So there is that as well. But really, this is showing little opportunity of movement there. What I'm hoping is coming out of this, and more people, who may not want to see what's this continuing assault on people who cannot really truly defend themselves properly continue. And so that maybe there's more movements to try to come up with a peaceable solution. We have seen, some movement on the U.S. side saying aid has to be allowed through. We have to allow aid through to the people.
Well, whatever it takes from some sort of UN or organized agency that can do that, that seems to be what could win things here, is that there just needs to be something really concrete, more hopeful, to help the Palestinians, but to also help Israel understand, that their security is important too. Finding peace for these people, finding a way to reconcile, which is another way of looking at the 5 of Cups reverse, things reconciling. Who will do this? Who
will do this? And the problem with me is I really don't know if it won or lost the weird week, because I don't think I've seen enough movement to feel hopeful about what's happening.
It's always just hanging there in the air as if it could happen, but nothing really nudges it one way or the other.
And you know what? I think maybe what it was saying is there are opportunities if only people would seek them or actually work on them.
Indeed.
All right.
So, having said that, that's what we feel about last week's cards. We are now ready to see what will happen next time
In
for
this
your
next
weird
week.
I think there's an echo chamber here. So first up is, of course, Banshee, once again with the Twin Tarot Oracle deck. And we're looking at what the major focus is according to that. What is the tone? What is the seeming essence going on here?
Well, thank goodness it's a positive card. It's strength upright.
Strength upright.
Well, you know what this could mean is that basically the major focus or theme for this week is how to delicately maneuver things, how to delicately apply, I don't want to say force, but in a way that's what I
Building
mean.
with compassion.
Yeah, yes. How to build with compassion and also in a more quiet approach than having to bulldoze to solutions.
The tone of this week is maybe somebody somewhere, some agency, somebody suggests that basically we have to really, really, really count to 10 and try to find better solutions that are favorable to health. I mean, there are children over there who are existing on literally swallowfuls of water a day. I mean, come on.
Okay, are you just saying this is about Palestine already with one card?
Well, a little bit.
This could be a number of things. This could be actually applying that subtle pressure to get the strike resolved with the UAW. This could also be some of the different machinations going on legally, with Trump and company, or with, the speaker trying to, get his agenda moving.
Well, to me, that would seem to be more likely, Democrats and maybe moderate Republicans nudging the new speaker to, tone down some of his, rhetoric perhaps and be a little bit more open-hearted about dealing with all sides of the equation. Good luck.
Well, we got to see what's happening here. Let's keep pulling. What do we got for card 2? What we will find out or see is from Mr. O's Secrets Tarot.
Moo-ha-ha. So, right, it is. And with this, we hope to see if there's any kind of knowledge or information that is presently unknown but will somehow be discovered or realized or affirmed in some way to say, oh,
aha,
it's about that. And that card is the reversed 7 of Pentacles.
Wow.
And what we may need to find out is that, it's time really to
put in more effort.
Bring it home.
Put up or shut up, so to speak. It's like this is a time where, yes, we don't have to be bulldozing our way through things, but, some effort or movement is required here. You have to get back to work on solutions to the problems or to the work at hand.
What is understanding what is a priority, to not let certain things, go bad before their realization should be. And that, that sometimes we may be holding some things in reserve and we know we just need to get that going now. So what could that apply to? Well, it could apply to a lot of these things. It could apply to almost every one of these situations.
I know.
It's better to not wait, but to, seize the moment, so to speak.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm writing here.
That's okay. I mean, I'm not sure, if we have to outline that for each possible scenario, but it is
No.
basically about the idea that it's time to do something rather
It's
than
time
to
to
wait.
do something. If it's about abandoning something that's no longer working, fine. And coming up with new solutions or new efforts to, get a means to an end. But, or it's just getting back to work on what is needed.
And of course, that applies to the union thing. That applies to a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Aw.
What?
Excuse
You dropped
me.
them?
Well, these cards are so stiff, so if I don't get them in the right crinkle, they slip out of my hands.
So card 3 is about what other perspectives need to be considered, and for that we're using the shared deck of the Tarot of Oppositions.
And it's a unique deck in the sense that it's
hard to shuffle.
Well, it's very hard to shuffle, but it contains the meanings of either side, reversed or upright, on one single card. And it asks you to consider either possibility or maybe something that's more in the middle. And I'm going to let you take over with this wonderfully stiff deck.
Which I seem to be doing okay with.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, very nice. All right. All right, what will we find out or see?
What other perspectives need to be considered?
What other perspectives need to be considered? We'll find out or see that too,
It's the Seven of Pentacles again.
Upright.
Is it upright?
Yes.
How do you know? Because
she's happy? Oh.
Well, remember what the card's about, though? So which is it?
Wow.
Do I need my booklet?
That's a good question, but we are considering both, and this is the way it appeared.
All right.
Let's just show it. We may have to retract ourselves next week, but I'm going to consider both sides here. It's the Seven of Pentacles,
and it's the second time it shows up in this reading.
It's so weird. Yes, indeed. Well, it's interesting because I made the mistake of saying this was this position,
so you
and then
did
the same. Maybe I did. Well, so at any rate, I think what it means is that, depending on, we really have to decide. I guess this is a call that we have to go to work, we'll find out or see. But this is like saying, the other perspectives need to be considered is that people aren't sure what really needs to be done here. Maybe more time is needed to reflect on things, or maybe the fact remains, because that's this facing this way, that, if we put in the effort now, we might be able to turn things around or make things, work for us.
And I could see, though, where, maybe some possibilities of delays for work, may not be so favorable in certain outcomes, perhaps the stuff that's going on either with the speakership or things that are going on in Trump's trial. We don't necessarily feel that all delays are necessarily what
good
we
ones.
need to have. Right.
Right. And, if in a sense you're right, if this is the reversal on top, maybe that's what it's saying. It's just reinforcing the fact that, we all need to work on something. Maybe the whole idea is that, people have to come together. This could be the strike, too, where, with GM, they have to work with the union now. They have to resolve this.
Good point.
Like it or not, somebody's got to give, probably both sides to make this happen. All right. Interesting.
So now we are on card 4. What is that overall impact? And that's from the Healing Light Tarot.
Yeah, I could almost see this being the strike, people going back to work.
Yeah, in a way, that does have that ring of it,
Yeah.
especially the preponderance of pentacles with, the
And
seven
maybe
showing up
strength
twice.
upright is about that cooperation and a, more congenial atmosphere for solving,
Well, in a
what's
way,
dividing.
it kind of seems like all of a sudden the union stuff has kind of picked up a strange kind of momentum. Um, and so maybe this really bodes well for the future for other unions as well. I know that's probably horrifying to management in general and capital. So, what is that overall impact?
Well, it's the Seven of Swords upright.
Another seven.
Oh my gosh.
It's upright?
Yep.
It is.
3 sevens in a row.
The overall impact.
Yeah, the overall impact, I think, is that truths will be revealed. There will be things that come out, are revealed about this. And, when you think about the strike a little bit, and I think Sean Fain on the union side alluded to this, that, time and time again, the corporation said, no, this is our final offer. We will go down if we have to go any higher, with our, to your meeting your demands. And time after time, they came back with a better offer. And so I think what we're finding out or seeing here is the reality of the situation may be, different than what is being perceived. Really, with considering all the profits, considering all the salaries that corporate executives make in the auto industry, and shareholders, they couldn't go higher. So I think we're finding out and seeing that, yeah, some truths are being revealed here as to what's really going on.
Well, the thing that kind of maybe semi bothers me is that, of course, there's always a hint of cleverness about the Seven of Swords. And of course, we could say, well, that cleverness could still be on either side. What they still may be trying to hide on either side in terms of negotiations or these situations.
Thank you. You might have reminded me that it was upright because I'm actually reading the reversal of it. Thank you.
But I think it still applies either way. I liked what you
I think
said.
it does, because I think we're finding out the truth of the matter that people have been trying to hide. But the bottom line is, too, absolutely, each side, and you know what, even if this was about Palestine and Gaza, the Trump thing, or the House, there's a lot of subterfuge going on. There's hidden motives and motivations that need to be uncovered. And so, what could win the weird week?
I was actually thinking about Russia, Ukraine, too, in all of this. And we haven't really touched on where they might fall into that.
We have not. I'm not feeling it with these cards or even with last week's
Not necessarily,
cards, yeah. But others may see something that we do not.
I pull from the Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot to find out what could possibly win, or maybe not, the weird week.
Oh boy, and you know what? I've dropped the ball. I haven't been writing these down.
I like the deck immensely because, of course, it is one that's a little less stiff, a little easier to shuffle. And, of course, this was also a gift from La Banshee.
Yes, it was. Oops. Oh, don't pull it yet, Mr. O.
Why not?
I want to be ready. Just a minute. Okay, I have 2 more. Go on. I just wanted to see it.
It's the Ten of Cups reversed.
Ah!
Oh, and that doesn't sound like a very winning proposition.
Wow.
Right there.
It's possible that people just can't come together. It's possible that people can't come up with a workable solution unless they're able to come together and stop trying to maybe one up each other or hold back, information that's needed. It just seems as though it could create more of a divide than, bringing things together.
In any of the possible situations that could be going on, this could be a pause or a setback in those struggles, those negotiations, those situations. So it may not be that it's the all-encompassing final moments here. If it is about the union, it may be saying, that they might lose something next time, or that maybe management might lose something more, or that there's an uneasy truce with all things considered in either way, and that no one is very, very happy overall. And in a way, that kind of sounds selfish, but maybe suitable in a way that, whether it's any of these situations, maybe nobody should feel like they're really totally the victor.
Really? Really? Well, let's recap this and then we can just have a brief thought about what this might be leading towards. But I have a feeling we're going to have to see this unfold in the week ahead because nothing is totally, completely resonating with me right now.
True.
And so, let's look at the first card, which is the major theme or focus. We don't have to bulldoze. We don't have to bully our way to a solution or to get something we want. This is a card of subtle methods and more compassion.
Building with compassion.
Building with compassion, listening to each other, and trying to come up with something that everybody can agree upon. And card two, what we will find out or see, the mysteries, that's Seven of Pentacles reversed.
And it was a sense maybe that things were not being prioritized necessarily the way that we thought they should be.
We think it might mean that it's time to get back to work.
Right.
That more work is needed. We really need to focus because, things are hanging in the balance. These fruits will not grow without the proper care.
What I meant to say was that we need to really realize what our priority should be. And that means, putting it into motion, working on it.
And we can't decide if this card is upright or reversed, but it is yet another Seven of Pentacles.
Awesome.
And we kind of feel that it is reversed, which means, again, that in order to enjoy the fruits of the labor, you must get back to work. You have to get back to work to make this, to make it live, to make it alive, to make it real.
But another perspective could be that maybe some don't feel that needs to happen or shouldn't happen.
Exactly. Or some just are hesitating because they're really not sure what the proper approach or move should be.
They might want to be more cautious for some reason.
Yeah. And so they were hesitating. And card 4, another 7, the 7 of Swords upright, indicates that there may be some subtle things at work here, not in a happier light like this, but people who might be withholding some information or some facts. They may be even, I don't know what the word is, trying to provide cover for themselves maybe, and, trying to stay off the radar. So it's making it hard to come up with this right path and solution if we aren't really aware of everybody's motives and what's going on.
Most of situations that any of these cards are applying to are just about always binary, one way or the other. And so it could look like each side is trying to out-clever the other side, trying to do something more surreptitiously
One
or
up the other.
or one-upping, right, which was mentioned before too.
Yeah. And so right here, what could win or not the weird week, it doesn't look very happy. It looks like a divorce in a sense, a separation.
But in a way, nobody should be totally happy on either side of these very binary situations.
And, it just seems like people have to find, a solution that maybe they can't all be happy with, but that they can all live with. And so that's where it stands. I don't know what to say. I almost think on some levels this could be Gaza. And on some levels, it could be the strike.
Yeah, those two are the key ones, I think.
Because, I think that even, the corporations, some of them caved in, but I just don't know if GM is going to be that willing to move yet. It's hard to say. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens, right?
And, well, right. And we have to also announce, too, that we have decided we are probably going to take your weird week and put it on a hiatus.
I think what we will do, though, is maybe have a brief video next week to summate what happened this week. But we won't be doing another reading. That will be the end of the show for a while.
Right.
We may be retooling it, or we may be replacing it with something else.
There's always something new.
So I'm sorry if you really like the show. Please comment,
Yes.
We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear for your suggestions as where maybe we could take this further. But I think next week will be the final episode for a while as we reconsider what we want to do next.
Right. It could always end up just being part of a general global predictions for the year, that kind of thing.
Well, for the
something
month.
to revisit,
we might do a monthly show instead of a
whatever.
weekly one. So
we'll see.
As you can see here, we can't agree on even what to say about it.
And that's what's weird about it.
That's what's weird about us. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for supporting this show. And we will be back next week to recap what happened in this weird week. So until then, take care, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.